So I mean, we probably won't even use the whole hour and a
That's
half
fine.
because yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. But and if you did the swatch, so obvious, and you've done mosaic before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a few things that I think are tricky. So I went over a bunch of things with them in
The part.
person, and so I'm almost done. I'll be done definitely by this weekend, I think, with the center panel.
Okay.
So this is what it's going to look like, and I
Oh,
can
so
put it
pretty.
under my other camera in a minute. Um, but let's see. So you did your swatch. Did you get gauge?
Well, I didn't know
I know
how to
it's
read it.
kind of
I mean,
hard.
I
I mean,
measured
you can measure,
this measured 4 by 4. This is the
and
full.
it's the number of stitches that they said for 4 inches.
Well,
What did they say? Let's see.
no, I don't know if I don't know, but I used the 5. I did like you because I started with the 4
Yeah.
and it was way too small.
I thought so too. Now, the one thing, and I'm sure I could ask, there's a Ravelry group that the designer is sort of moderating that where they're very responsive, and I've been asking a lot of questions because I want to make sure I'm like saying the right thing. But there's no place where it says how like what the dimensions of each piece should be.
Right.
So I don't know if like should it be longer or but I mean don't forget like because to me this doesn't feel that long, but you're gonna add the border on the bottom.
Right.
And
Right.
I think this will also
Yeah, I'm just looking at the
block like this art. Have you worked with the art yarns before?
no.
So I made the sweater out of it, that chevron sweater, and it stretches a lot. So this is going to get bigger. And
Right.
you're going to want to stretch this because do you have like there's almost like little holes.
Well, that's what I wondered. Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed
but I
by
think
the
they'll block out.
oh,
They'll
okay.
like it'll bloom a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to show you that because like the top of the
Yeah. So that
crosses. Yeah.
seems right. I mean, I think if you had, so I also did, in case I don't get to like the parts I want to be at for each class, or because there's like the two classes, I've been working on this swatch, just to demonstrate. And this is like worsted to Aran weight yarn. And it
Hmm.
looks very different. It kind of, but there's
Oh
still
yeah.
like you can still kind of see holes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it kind of fills out a little bit
But the
more.
crosses are bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wasn't exactly sure how to measure the gauge. I mean, I guess I could.
I think there's a place where you can just count like this the stockinette stitches, across.
Mhm.
Like kind of like along the bottom of the crosses.
Oh, true. What is how many
So the
stitches?
gauge should be, wait, where's the pattern? Gauge, she says, is measured after blocking. So,
Right.
I did block mine, but mine was teeny weeny. Mosaic patterns on needle A. So needle A is the main one, the one, so the 5 for you.
Right.
24 stitches by 48 rows equals 4 inches.
So 6 stitches to the inch. Is that what that works out?
Yes, right. So that's like a fingering weight gauge. And I mean, this yarn is really, it's technically sport, I think, but it really feels like fingering. I consider it fingering. That's why I think it's okay to use for this pattern. I just want to measure, now that I'm looking at that, I want to measure the rows of mine. I'm just curious. This is what, 10 rows?
Oh, so this is 6. The stockinette is measuring 6. One, two,
Just
three.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Okay,
8.
so I am getting gauge on the stockinette.
So this block is like 9 rows is an inch and a half. So it's about 6 rows to the inch. So I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe I'm not getting, maybe the row gauge is supposed to be.
row gauge, I usually don't worry that much, but I guess,
Oh, well, actually, this is 18 yeah, okay, so an inch and a half. And it's, say it's 18 rows. So 18 rows. 18 divided by 1.5. 12 rows to the inch times 4 is 48. And what did I say? 48, right?
yeah, I got 4 inches for isn't it
Yeah.
48 rows for the
Yeah. Yeah.
pattern? So I
Yeah.
did get 4 inches.
Yeah. Same, I think. I think if I figured it out right. So that's good. Okay, so let's see. Let me go down my little tip sheet here. Just want to make sure nobody emailed me to say like they don't have the link or something. I think I sent it to all of you together.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think they probably just decided they didn't need it. And I'll send them the recording. Okay, so you know about how to do mosaic.
Mhm.
And again, if you did the swatch, you probably realized this, or maybe you read it, but it's always when you here, I'm gonna switch to my other camera so I can show the pattern.
So it doesn't look like there's any increases in the,
Well, no, but well, there might be on the border. Wait, hold. And did you hear the whole thing, how I found a mistake in the pattern?
no, no,
It's very exciting. I mean, it was,
right. Ruby, come
oh, this is,
here, come here,
it's, wait a minute.
come on, good girl. Karen wants to get, so she's
She does. She wants to get,
yeah, she really wanted I mean, but I guess Fred doesn't want one. So.
yeah, I know. She misses Ruby so much. Okay. So can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the mistake?
Well, she fixed it. So
Oh.
when we decided that I was going to do the class, we like it was a Saturday and I was at the shop and the pattern had just come out. And so I went home that night and Karen said, write it up for Ilana. And so I went home and I started looking at the pattern and I was like, okay, I want to figure out how to do this so that I can figure out like what am I going to do the first week and the second week in the class. I always do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Wait, let me just get rid of that. So, ugh, no. So, I'm looking and there's like the two sides and I was trying to figure out the math, like you do this and you increase here and you do that and it's going to be this number of stitches. And then I was like, oh, I'm not getting the right math. So I don't really understand what she's doing here. It doesn't, and I'm like reread it and reread it. And there, there's like the right wing and the left wing that you pick up after the center part. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about that. And, so I had been looking at the right side. Then I look at the left side and it like worked like I figured it out perfectly. And I was like, well, these two should be the same, I think. So I think there might be a mistake in this one. Like, how could that be? And then,
Mm-hmm.
so I posted this thread and like the next day, like she answered and she was like, I'm mortified. Like, you're right. There's a mistake. Like, I can't believe it. She's like, luckily, not that many people have started it yet because it had just come out. And she sent a correction like that day.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, well, like mistakes happen. But she
Right.
was like, she gave me a free pattern and she was like,
Oh,
so appreciative. But I was like, wow, she's a pretty good designer. I can't believe I found an error.
where did you post it? In her Ravelry group?
There's a Ravelry. She has a Ravelry group, And so I joined the Ravelry group, and then there's a thread. She has a thread for each of her patterns,
Oh, okay.
or a lot of them. So this one, there was like almost nothing posted in it because the pattern had literally just come out. And so they answered right away. And yeah, they're very responsive. I've been posting things and people have been very responsive on like tips for, like how did do you have like good tips for picking up the stitches? And they gave me one, and that's like the video I sent. Did I send you the sheet that I gave them after the first class
Um,
with the video? It's like
I
I
think
put
I
it in
did get one.
in the
Yeah.
body of the email. I can always send it to you again, but I think
Let
I
me just look.
included you because
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
pretty
that's
sure.
where oh no, I sent the Zoom link separately, I think.
Yeah, week 1 notes.
Yeah, that's it. So some of the things I used in there are from this thread where, because I asked a question, like, because we were talking about it in the Saturday class about picking up the stitches, and we'll get to that too.
Oh, how to
Okay,
have a
so
nice
so
neat
the
edge. Yeah.
things to remember, which like you've probably already seen in doing your swatch, but just in general for this first chart, the small crosses chart, whenever you do a right side, the black stitches, when you're holding the black, so you know, right, that this column over here is not like in the pattern, but it
Right.
tells you. But also, like when I use my knit companion on
Me
the
too.
iPad. Yeah, so I cropped that one out because you don't really need it, because the first stitch of every row is the color too. So
Right.
if you just look at that, and so
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
whenever
Because I
you're
didn't, yeah, I cropped that too,
yeah,
but
I
then
cropped that, and it's dead. And then did you figure out how to? I had to look that up in like Knit Companion University, like
did
how to make it where you do the same row twice.
no, I just would hold
There's a
it.
way to do
Oh,
it.
there is?
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna have to remember it when I set up the rest of the charts, but I'll just look at what I did for the first
Okay.
ones. But yeah, if you want, I can find it for you. But I mean, it's not really like, it doesn't make that much of a difference. It counts them like a little bit more accurately, but really you can figure it out without having it do that.
Right.
But when you're knitting with the black, it's always garter stitch. The black is always garter stitch. So even on the wrong side rows. And when you're knitting with the pink, it's stockinette, so that when on the return row, so you're always gonna go across, on the front. Can I make this bigger? See, these are the things I like where my name isn't in it. Wait. Here, I wanna. Just like spotlight.
I don't see your name.
You don't? Oh, I do. Must have a different, I don't, there's a way to like spotlight though. Do you see me like small, like a little
Oh,
square?
no, I don't see you at all. I just see
I
the,
mean, the pattern.
yes, it's
Is it
big.
little? It's
No, it's
big?
big. Uh-huh.
Oh, so I see the reverse. That's funny. Okay, well, that's okay, because I don't need to see me or my pattern. Um, so yeah, so you're gonna start on the right, right? You're gonna,
Mhm.
the dots, well, the dots don't matter as much on the right side, but the dots are really there for the wrong side.
Right. So it's
So,
like texture or something, right?
right, so the black is always garter, and then, of course, the pink on the front, you're slipping, and then when you go back, which is row 2, which is the wrong side, the black is always going to be garter, and the pink, you're slipping with the yarn in front. So,
Mhm.
um, something to be careful is when you're doing the garter, make sure that you bring the yarn. So, like, oop, that's too close. Like,
Yeah, so you
so,
don't slip it in front.
yeah, make sure you have to keep moving the yarn back and forth, because if the yarn goes to the front, you're gonna have a bar across the front.
Yeah, I did that once and I had to
Yeah,
rip the
I
whole
did it
thing out.
too. I just did it last night. Like sometimes I forget.
Right,
But you can fix it. You can like pull the loop forward and it's not that big of a problem, but you'd rather, it's better if you don't do it at all.
right.
Um, so, okay, so that's the garter and stockinette piece. So then when you're knitting with the pink, you're gonna, slip the black ones. And then when you go back, you're gonna knit the first pink because there's a dot in there, right?
Hmm.
And then you're gonna purl the other pinks on the going back row
Okay,
because there's no dot in them. See?
okay. Except for the last stitch again, right?
Right, it's the first and the last stitch of each row is always knit
Okay,
on this chart.
yeah,
Um, and so those are kind of the tricks for this chart. The other thing I told the group that I did is I put markers in. I love using markers
right,
because you don't want to have to like take it out. I mean, if you're in the same row, it's not too bad, but if you get to another row and you made a mistake, it's kind of hard to take it out.
right.
So I put one kind of marker here after the first stitch, because the first stitch is like the border, right outside
Hmm.
the red line.
Hmm.
Then the red box is 4 stitches. It's a 4 stitch repeat.
Hmm.
So you're repeating it across, across, across. And so I didn't want to put a marker every 4 stitches because that would be a pain. So I
Right,
just did it every 16. So it's 4 repeats. So if I get to the marker and I'm not at the end of a 4 stitch thing, then I made a mistake somewhere. And it's a lot
okay,
easier to go back 16 than the whole row.
right,
So I put 1, 2, 3, 4. I put 4 markers in, and then there's one more set of 2 repeats. And then I put the same kind of marker I had at the beginning. I put before the last 2 stitches because
okay,
the last 2 is outside the red box on the other side.
right,
Then when you turn it, the 2 are at the beginning, obviously.
okay, yeah.
So those are kind of like all the little tips on that chart, I think. Let's see. Yeah, every chart represents 2 rows. All right, we know that. All slip stitches are slipped as if to purl. That's pretty standard. So on the right side rows, the stitches are slipped with the yarn in back. On the wrong side rows, the stitches are slipped with the yarn in front. But then when you're doing the black and it's garter on the back, you have to move the yarn to the back to knit. And then you move it back again. So there's one row in this pattern that's like every other one is, pink or black. So there's a lot of like back and forth on that row.
Okay,
So
that's in this chart or in the other?
some on this is on all, we're still all on the first chart.
Okay,
So then what you're gonna do, and you have to read the directions carefully, because I made a mistake and had to rip back. In terms of like how many times, she tells you with main color and needle B, which is the smaller size, right? You're gonna cast on 75.
so
You're
did you do 4 for the
I
B?
think I did, yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Then you knit 5 rows. Okay, then you join the pink. And you're gonna knit 1 row and then wrong side, you knit 1, purl to the last stitch, knit 1, so there's just that 1 stitch knit border. Then you change to your bigger needle and work the small crosses center panel chart to row 40. So you don't do the last 2 rows.
oh, okay,
I know it's like a little, yeah. So pay attention to that. Then work the small crosses center panel chart from row 25 to the last row.
so you do it twice,
So you do it kind of twice, yeah, but
right,
the 25 to the last row is a little faster. So
okay,
then becomes this, it's a pretty big section. So it's 7 rows of crosses. After you do those 2 sections, then you, with the pink, and you never, in this chart, you never have to cut the black, but I did cut the other colors because there's, space in between them. I guess you
Right.
could carry, but I don't think it's a good idea. So then you're going to just knit across with the pink and then knit 1 purl to the last stitch, knit 1. It's kind of like what you did at the beginning. You're going to do it
Hmm.
at the end of that section. Then you start this second column of page 4, and you'll see the stars. So the large crosses, then you're going to do this chart. And this is the one where you use the other color. So,
Oh, okay.
and this chart is a lot faster, I think. It's just so much simpler. There's not like all these there's like 1 cross and then there's some rows that are just the edges are knit or slipped,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so to me that one went a lot faster. Same thing though, where the edge stitches are always knit. And
And the
then
black looks like it's always knit too.
yeah, it's mostly stockinette, except for that black cross is knit on on both sides. So that one, I think you'll see goes a lot faster. In that one, I put markers in like every 2 patterns. So I think it's 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8. It's an 8 stitch repeat. So I did it every 2 because it's like twice as many stitches as the first
Hmm.
chart. It was a 4 stitch. This is 8 stitches. It's only 9, I think, rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, it's 18. It's 9 front and 9 back. So that goes pretty quickly. But then, so you do that, then you break the purple or your hot pink
Hmm.
here. Then you're gonna do with the light pink, so you're gonna join that again, knit to end, knit 1 purl to the left. So it's the same little kind of border that you did at the beginning. Then you're gonna go back to the small crosses chart
Oh, okay.
and do that to row 24. And then you work row 41 and 42 of that chart, which were the ones you left off the first time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, she has a reason for doing it that way. I don't know exactly what it is. And then you do the knit a row, purl a row with the pink. And then you break the pink. And then you have the 2 stars, and then it says work the instructions from 1 star to 2 stars twice more. So I was like, oh, I'm like, going along here, and then, oh, I have to do this twice more. But it goes pretty fast.
So you
So
go back to the
you go back to the big
large cross.
large crosses, and then you do the same thing with rows 1 through 24, and then row 41 and 42, like the whole sequence in between.
Okay.
So there ends up being 3, 1, 2, 3. There's 3 of the large crosses charts and 4 of the small crosses. 1 kind of larger one, the first one,
Hmm.
and then 3 smaller ones. And then once you do that, you put the stitches on waste yarn, and because you're going to pick them up, I guess, for the border, I think. And then you pick up, this is like kind of as far as we got in the other class, but we can talk about it because you might get to it before the next class. Let me just make sure, wait. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna give you some tips just in general that I found, and this was in the sheet that I sent you. Um, I looked this up because my yarns kept getting tangled. And so what I read was if you have, like if you have a table or something nearby or the floor or whatever, or your lap, you take the yarn that you're not knitting with and put it to the left of the piece.
Okay.
And then take like kind of untangle them and put the yarn you're knitting with on the right. And that way they don't get tangled.
Okay.
So it's kind of, to me, it's worth it to take the time to do that because mine were getting tangled.
Hmm.
I told you about the markers. Oh, another thing that I told the class, and this I just kind of figured out on my own, but it's important because like actually even just last night when I started the last pink, I was off by one. You know, sometimes when you're between when you do the like one chart or the other chart, there's a lot of just plain knitting with not with two colors, and you might drop a stitch or something, you know.
Oh, okay.
So the way, you know, I mean, you can count, make sure you have 75, but the way to really make sure you're on track is I noticed that these lines,
Oh, they didn't line up.
yeah, so yeah, see, it's hard to wait. I'm going to put this light on. It's getting. So the line, this line that goes between the blocks of the large crosses
Mm-hmm.
lines up with the bottom of the crosses.
Oh,
And
okay.
it carries all the way up. They should all be lined up. And so if you're doing it right, and it could even be that if you have the right number of stitches,
You're off.
something was off, like you dropped one and you picked it, you know, so you just like take a look when you switch from one chart to the next and make sure they line up, because that was like bothering me when it didn't line up once I noticed that it was supposed to.
Okay.
She doesn't really tell you that, but I noticed it, and I'm sure it was intentional. So yeah, so that was important. Yeah, I said it pays to count and fix rather than having everything be off center. I don't know, those things just bother me.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah, okay. So, and the links I sent you, there was one link I found for how to fix mistakes in Mosaic. So like if you're like a few rows back and you see a mistake, there's a way to fix it, and you could watch the video if you have that problem.
Okay.
And yeah, this was the other thing, and I think some of this is a function of the art yarns. Is my edges were very sloppy looking, I thought.
Yeah.
So I found a video and it was really good. And it's been useful for this baby sweater, which is just striped. Like how to work with your yarns with 2-row color work, any kind of 2-row color work. So stripes or this. And this was something I had never done before and had never been taught before. She said, and this was, I think, Suzanne Bryan. Do you ever watch
Mm-hmm.
her?
Mm-hmm.
She's like old school, but she knows what she's talking about.
Right.
So when you, there, see, I'll tell you all this. So the yarn that you just knit with, so in this case, wait, I'm gonna get it in front of the camera for you. I'm just untangling it. It gets entangled. All right, in this case, I just knit with the green. Oh, can you see it? The light.
Mm-hmm.
So my tendency would be to like twist them, right?
Right.
So she says no. You take the yarn that you just knit with and put it in the front. This is totally like opposite of what I would have done. And then just pick up the new yarn from the back.
So are they crossing over each other?
No, they're not. And because they're not, you have like a nice neat edge. See, it's like there's no,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a little block of 2 rows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I started doing that on mine and it doesn't look as good. It looks better than it looked at the beginning. Like here's how it looked this was before I started doing that. It's just messy.
Right.
And then once I started doing it, it's a little more defined, kind of. I think this art yarns, or I don't know what it is, but it like kind of almost has like loops on the side.
But do you pick up that edge or no?
Yes, so the good news is, yes, that you're not gonna see that.
Okay.
Because you pick up, that's gonna be the next thing, and I did because I think the group is gonna get ahead of this, you know, center panel, because we don't meet again for 2 weeks. And I'm actually, they will be in the Zoom next time because I'm not gonna have the Saturday class.
Okay.
So they'll just come to the Zoom, but, so I did find a video that was really good. I found it from the group, the Ravelry group. I was like, any good suggestions for the best way to pick up the stitches on the sides? And
Hmm.
they found me a good one, because yeah, you just want to make sure that you're going in. It's like picking up stitches along a vertical edge. That's the thing you search for.
Okay.
There are a lot of videos on that. But the idea is that you want to go, I don't know if you can see it, like in between the edge, like this, the messy part is the edge and the first full stitch. And you just
Okay.
pick up,
There's like a space there, sort of.
right, you pick up the bar like in the space, right?
Okay.
So like here, let's see if I can get my needle in it. And you pick up one bar for every, like you pick up every other bar, I think. See, I don't, can you see the bar?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you'll see, maybe, you know, if you watch the video, it's a good indication, but, and
Okay.
you probably know this from picking up stitches for other things, but some of the people in the class didn't know this. So you're gonna take your whole piece, fold it in half, put a marker, then fold it in half again, and put a marker. So at each quarter of the piece is gonna have a marker. And that way, because you're supposed to pick up 92 stitches.
Oh, okay.
And in order to make sure you're like on track, you know, I think we figured out it was 20, like 92 divided by 4, I think was 23.
In each quarter. Okay.
Right, in each quarter. So again, like what I told them is, here, I'll switch back to
Ruby, stop.
myself. Is, you might not have 23 exactly, but that's okay, because you have the whole piece. But you know, if you have like 10, you're going to want to pull them out and start over, because they're not going to be like the evenly spaced stitches along the whole side. So it's just like a guideline, you know. So if you have like 28, then in the next section you might want to pick up a few fewer, but you know, you want it to be kind of similar. And you can, you know, take it out and do it a few times, but if you have it divided into sections, you won't have to take it all out. You'll be like on track to make sure it's right. And then, you know, if you're off by like a row or two, I mean a stitch or two, you know, then you can always
Make
like
it up,
knit two
yeah.
together on the first one. So then when you start, oh, now I'll go back to the other camera. So that's picking up the stitches. And then when you go, then you're going to do the left wing, and we decided that it's the it's the cast on edge, right? Yeah, is the left side. Yeah, so it's the left side, like facing you. It's not like hold it up to you and what's the left side, right? It's the
Okay.
left side facing you. You're going to start there. That's the left wing. So you're gonna pick up the stitches, pick up and knit 92 stitches, approximately 1 stitch for every 2 rows until the edge with the wide stitches. So you're gonna end up by where the needle is. You know, you're gonna start at the bottom where you cast on and pick up all the way up to where the stitches are on hold. You know, they're gonna be on hold at the top.
Do you do anything with those stitches or no?
No, you don't do anything with them until the end when you do the border.
Okay.
So now you're going to be knitting the opposite direction, like sideways for the left wing. And you can actually, she has a kind of a nice diagram on page 9, the schematic. So you can see like, see, here's the center, and it's like going, no, here's the center, sorry. You know, here's the big crosses, you know, and it's going vertically. Then you're gonna go this way.
Okay.
And the nice news is you start out with the 92 stitches and you end up with just a few stitches. So it
that's
goes,
good.
keeps going down, down. So now how do you get to that? So, so you're gonna pick up the stitches, the 92, then next row, knit to end. This is all with the black. You pick up the stitches with the black, and then you knit back on the wrong side to the black. So you'll have a garter stitch row there. Then you work the diamond chart, left wing, and when you're finished, you have 76 stitches. This is where I found the mistake because it had like a different number, I think. And I was like, all right, let's see how she gets to from 92 to 76. And I was trying to figure it out, and it was just like not adding up. And I was like, I don't think I understand how you do this pattern. But it was the math that was wrong. Anyway, so at the beginning, it's going to be like the large crosses, so that kind of carries through the whole shawl.
So where, because she says use the left wing, but then, you work that one first.
Yeah, then
you
the
go
right
to
wing is a whole other set of charts.
Okay.
And this, oh, what happened? My lights just went off. So weird. Did we have a power outage? It's really weird. Maybe it's my. Hold on. Maybe I just hit this. Power strip? Let me see something. Yeah, I think I hit the power strip. Hold on. No. I think that was it. Okay. That was weird. Okay. So you're going to start at the bottom. So yeah, work the diamond chart right here on page 5.
Mhm.
And again, you're going to be going like sideways. So you're going to have all those other stitches just hanging out there. And you're going to knit. So like the left side of this centerpiece, this side is going to become like the bottom of the part you're knitting now.
Okay.
That's going to be the bottom of this. That's going to be like row 1 of this new chart. So it's going to be like this.
Oh, okay.
So your needle will be here.
Mhm.
So you'll be knitting this way.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the end, it's going to be fewer stitches. It's going to be, you're going to start with 92 and you're going to end with 76. Now, how do you get there? You will see that on row 4 at near the end,
You knit two
there's that
together.
little thing that's like a dot with a line. On the right side, you're going to knit 2 together. On the wrong side, you just knit. So you're only decreasing on the right sides
Right.
where it's marked.
Okay.
So you're going to keep decreasing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like along the edge here. And that way, by the time you get to row 66, you are down to 76 stitches.
Okay.
And the chart like reflects that, that's why the chart is like slanted.
Mhm.
So that's that chart. Then there's another thing with the little repeating cross here. Then you work the squares chart, which is on the next page,
Right.
on page 6. So that's the same thing. It has the decreases. You keep decreasing on these wings. So you work the squares chart on page 6, and then you end up with 67 stitches. Then you work the small crosses chart, which is right here.
Mhm.
Same thing, then you have 60 stitches. And then you do those two again. We're from the 1 cross to 2 cross, so once more, then you have 44 stitches. And then you work the squares chart once more, 35 stitches. The small crosses chart, 29 stitches. The small crosses chart, 11 stitches. And then you break the yarn.
Okay.
Break the pink. Then you do knit to the last 3 stitches, blah, blah. Then you bind off. It's only 10 stitches then. And then you do the right wing. So that starts on page 7. And it's going to be just the opposite. So you're going to pick up the stitches, I think. Wait, let me get to the directions. I didn't even look at that yet. But I'm pretty sure. Wait.
Yeah, pick up 92.
Yeah. So you do, oh, I think I put my pages in wrong. 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. Right wing, pick up in 92 stitches, blah, blah, blah. So it's, yeah, you start with the diamond, it's the same, just so it's just the opposite. And those, though, you're decreasing at the beginning of the rows. And those are SSKs instead of knit 2 togethers, because they're slanting the other way. But it's the same idea. And you should have the same number of stitches after every chart. That was the problem. Okay, so then after you do that, I mean, well, I don't think you'll be up to that by the time.
No, I don't think so
Next,
either.
neither will I.
Hmm.
Then you're going to pick up all the stitches. You pick up the stitches from the center panel that were on a spare needle. And then I guess you join the wings that only have, where you only had like 10 stitches. Yeah, let's see, what do you do? Pick up and knit 195 stitches until the live stitches in the center panel, knit 2 together, knit across 71 stitches, yeah. Starting at the left wing tip. So wait, have you? Anyway, we'll get to that. I'm gonna study that more before the end. Because then the border ends up having like a lot of stitches. 463 stitches. But it's not that many rows. I don't think it's 2 charts. One is 16 rows and one is 50 rows. So yeah, that'll take a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you make the tassels. So I think like what's going to happen is we'll just sort of go over where we are and how we're doing with like the wings and all these like all these different charts and things like that. And probably by the last time we meet, I don't think I'm going to be up to the bind off, so I'll do the bind off like on a swatch. That's why I'm making the swatch to kind of
Show us, yeah.
demonstrate and the tassels. So I have a tassel maker that I've never used, so I'm excited to use that because I like
Neat.
So that's pretty much it. So it's really fun. I've been
Yeah, it looks like it.
It gets kind of like addictive, like you just want to do the next row and see yeah, it's easier than like regular color work, I think. You have to kind of keep the tension even. I have a tendency to want to kind of tug on this yarn because this yarn it's almost like a little slippery, but it's really nice to work with. So,
Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah, it feels good, right?
It does.
Yeah. So, I think it's going to make a really nice shawl.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay.
So I would say, so the next meeting is in 2 weeks because
Right.
yeah, next week I had something on Saturday, so I just skipped the whole week. So I'm definitely going to be on like at least the first wing. I don't know that I'll be on the second wing, but then we can talk more about, the picking up of the stitches and how it's going like with the decreases and knitting in the other direction. But if anything comes up between now and then, you know where to find me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay. That's it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right,
The
so
next class is you
it's
just said
the
15th or
oh, is
14th?
Thursday like a better night for you in general, or do you?
No,
I think
no,
I had them on Tuesdays.
that's fine. It was just I was away.
Okay, so that would be, so the next one is the
15th.
15th. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so and I'll send you this recording and you have the other notes already.
Yeah.
And so then I think you're all set.
Okay. Thanks, Steph.
All right. Thanks, Amy. It was
All
good to
right.
see
See you in a
you.
couple weeks.
Okay. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye.